Hi guys, welcome to another episode. I'm just in the woods today catching up on a few jobs. It's awful quiet. Obviously we're in lockdown, so I can't have anybody here with me. In fact, the only company I've got is a little Robin over there who's keeping an eye on me to see if he can whip in and grab anything where I've been disturbing the leaf litter with my feet. But it's given me a chance to catch up with a few jobs, and the thing I've got to do today, I have got a stave here, half an ash log, that is suitable for making a longbow from. So I need to remove the outer bark. Now, removing the outer bark is much more easy to do when it's still green and full of sap, because once it dries, it really locks onto the wood. You can still get it off on a seasoned stave, but you've got to be a lot more careful. When we're removing the bark, if we should dig into the grain, go a little bit deeper than we want to, we'll have created a weakness, and then when we start actually making the bow and getting it to bend and flex, it's liable to snap at that point. So it's absolutely imperative that whilst removing the bark, we don't dig into that first growth ring on the actual wood, okay? Now, the way that we achieve that is to use something called a drawknife. This is a drawknife, nice straight blade, handles coming down, and this gives us excellent control of the angle of the blade as we're working the wood. And as you can see, it's quite easy to remove the bark using this tool, but it's also quite heavy. It's never going to be in my rucksack, so it's something that I might use at home. I'm unlikely to have it in the woods. So with a bushcraft knife, if we try and achieve the same thing, really quite awkward. So I'm getting thin little shavings off here, but they're quite imprecise and I haven't got much control, which is no good because it's going to take a long time. I'll probably get a bit frustrated. In my efforts, I might well dig into that first growth ring, which we've already said we've got to avoid. So what we need ideally is a handle on our Morakniv. Now, the way we're going to achieve that is to add a little hazel stick. So I've got a hazel stick here, but what I've done is I've trimmed off a side branch, because if we just drive a knife into a straight grained piece of wood, we're liable to split it straight in half, which obviously doesn't give us a handle. So we need a side branch with complex grain that we can drive into, and then that will allow us to get the knife in there and for it to stay in and be firm without splitting the stick. So let me just drop the camera for you so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got my hazel stick, I've already trimmed off my side branch, and now I need to drive the Mora into the middle of that complex bit of grain. So tap it with the log. Now at this point, if we didn't have the side branch, one good tap and I'd split my handle in half. Whereas because of the side branch and the complex grain going in different directions, we can drive that in there and we see it's quite firm, quite a good solid little handle. So now, I'm just going to change that angle slightly in fact. A bit more like it. We can see the difference the little handle makes. So now we can take the Mora and we've got this control of the angle, and we can pull well on the opposite side of the blade, which we couldn't do just holding the blade. As you can see, even here we've got a knot, no problem. And then when we're getting close, as we are here to the sapwood, really fine control, so we can avoid damaging the stave and giving ourselves a problem, or even worse, heartbreak later on when we think we've got a nice bow, we're starting to flex it and it snaps in half. So take your Morakniv, cut off a side branch, drive it in, and you've turned it into a drawknife. Just a quick note, if you've got a good quality expensive bushcraft knife, tend to have 3, 4, even 5mm thickness on the blade, makes it kind of chunky for this. It's actually far better to have a little more a companion than something a bit more expensive and chunky just for this task. So Morakniv to a drawknife in about a minute.